Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well. How about a bonus upload to end this day off with? Before we jump into it, though, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. The merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They all were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost you a cent. Click that like button. It takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon. And please, folks, leave a comment. Why? Well, because all these things, they really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into tonight's bonus, shall we? Today's first part of the upload is a possible Dogman encounter, but before the word Dogman was used, the Beast of Bladenboro. In Clarkton, North Carolina, 1953, a dog was discovered lifeless. 8 miles away from Bladenboro, witnesses say the dog was attacked and killed by something 5 feet long with a sleek black coat. 2 days later, in Bladenboro, 2 more dogs were found, torn to ribbons. The next 4 nights saw a handful of more dead dogs, each gruesomely taken in their ways. Some were covered in saliva, as if carried in the creature's mouth. Others were missing ears and tongue. In between the 8th and the 11th days after the initial attack, farm animals began being killed. Cows, goats, and hog. Hunters and police say the animal was likely a wolf or a coyote, or a big cat such as a panther. Some even say wolverine. One eyewitness said the beast was too large to be any of the previously mentioned, but did have the likeliness of a mountain lion. One man even said it was a big boy, a monster of a hound that he had raised from a pup, only to give it to a boy that lived near the swamp due to its aggression. But what kind of animal decapitates and drinks blood? A boy claimed that the beast came to his house one night, most likely hunting his dog. The young boy woke when he was startled by something walking on their wooden porch outside of his window. He leapt up and looked outside, and what he saw was a shadowed figure. The monster stalked into the yard from the porch, slowly twisting its head looking for prey. Its heavy tail hung low and level to the ground as the monster lowered its body, crouching as if ready to pounce. When the boy watched as the creature bounded into the shadows by the nearby forest, only the glint of its bright green eyes were visible. Once it disappeared fully, the boy laid back down in his bed, trying unsuccessfully to return to slumber. His eyes wide, he stared at the window, afraid the monster would return. After some time, he heard the wailing as if an injured animal, and another sound, that which sounded of a woman's scream mixed with a baby crying, the hunting call of the Beast of Bladenboro. Today's second part of the upload is a Dogman encounter. I live in a town in Wisconsin, and although we have a lot of woods and wildlife, we have no bear or wolves. Not in my part of the state. Maybe a black bear once in a while, but big wolves, never. I live on the outskirts of a decently sized town, and we have a few neighbors, but mostly woods off a highway. In my neighborhood, there is a park and a small pine grove that the city decided not to demolish. You could see the woods from the highway near my house. I really don't know how to describe it anymore. In any event, this was what happened. One day when I was 12, I think, I was in the back seat of my mom's car. We were on the highway where you could see our house, neighborhood, and that tree line in the park. While in the back of the car, like I usually do, I was watching everything go by from the window. I saw my house, and then on the other side of the highway, near my house and park, I saw it. What looked to be like a wolf, or what I thought at first was a wild dog. But here's the thing, it was foaming at the mouth and was pure white and a little tan. And it was huge. We were going about 60 miles an hour, so my mom didn't see it. When we got home from the drive, my 12-year-old mind thought it'd be fun to go find it. Luckily, I didn't find it and thought maybe it just went away. It did for a while. Fast forward to 2 years, I was driving on the opposite direction with my mom and dad. This time, we were in a different highway going past a cornfield. When I was watching the corn go by, I saw the same creature again. Big and white and foaming at the mouth, looking at our car and me as we drove by. Nobody else saw it except myself, but I don't know what I saw and can't explain. Here's the problem with these experiences. First of all, even though we have wolves in Wisconsin, they're just gray wolves and are about 45 miles north of me. And they still look nothing like what I saw. Second, why was it foaming at the mouth when I saw it both times? I didn't think anything really until about a year ago when I learned my state was riddled with Dogman sightings. Today's third part of the upload is a Dogman encounter. My boyfriend at the time and I were driving in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, 2016, when we saw an upright wolf-like creature run across the road. It had long arms, but was on 2 feet, and it jumped up on both legs at the same time like a hop. But it jumped high onto a wall on the other side of the road, then jumped straight up and out into the woods beyond the wall. We both saw this and couldn't figure out what it could be. It was dark out, so we couldn't see exactly where it went and really didn't want to. It was certain that neither of us had ever seen such a creature and never knew it existed. Today's fourth part of the upload is going to be a little interesting. We're going to get into some chupacabra encounters. Illinois around 1989, when Tim B. was 15, living in Naperville. He believes he may have encountered chupacabras. I was at my friend's house, drinking and carrying on. When it became time for me to walk home, my walk was through a large dark field, then over a hill and down, then over some railroad tracks, then up a hill again into my house. I reached the tracks. Now standing on them, I was paralyzed with what I saw. Looking directly into my eyes, a demon as I called it, was a quarter of the way up the hill in front of me, in some brush about 20 feet from the path I took. It was bald with huge eyes, about 3 to 4 feet tall, and the hands having claws. I saw no other features. I was so scared. It took everything I had just to run. I've never run so fast in my life. I ran by him up the hill, never looking back. Location unknown. One night when Kip was in 7th grade, he was coming home from a friend's house when he saw something red up in some trees. He stopped to get a better look and saw something move. Then I saw 2 glowing red eyes, Kip said. Whatever it was stood up. It stood about 3.5 feet tall. I had seen all these things about chupacabras on TV and didn't believe in them, but what I saw looked exactly like the descriptions I've seen on TV. The creature made a sound like a drunken dog or something, squealing like I've never heard before. It sounded unearthly. Then I saw something like a long tongue come out of its mouth and move around. My house was about 3 houses away, so I ran. Unfortunately, the creature ran as well, chasing Kip down the street. It was in my neighbor's yard, moving around. I pounded on the door to my house and rang the doorbell many times. My stepdad finally opened the door, and when I turned to look, the creature had run away. Location unknown. It was a cold February morning when Sonoran P. woke up and went about his daily routine. His mother had gone to work, so he made himself some breakfast and sat to watch a little TV. He heard a window break. Being alone, he grabbed a golf club and went to investigate. In his own bedroom, he got the shock of his life. When I saw what it was, I was paralyzed, Sonoran reported. Climbing in my bed was a creature I had never seen before. It appeared to be hurt because it seemed like it couldn't move at all or very well. Sonoran, golf club at the ready, slowly moved closer for a better look. The thing hissed horribly. It shrieked in an unworldly manner, which made me even more scared. It was about the size of a large rabbit, dark in color, it had reddish eyes. It had wings, a spine of quills in its back, and a semi-reptilian face. It appeared to have hair and small legs. I thought it was some sort of large bat, but when I clearly saw its face, I instinctively raised the golf club. It hissed and showed its large, yellowish teeth, which appeared to be sharp, like those of a crocodile. Apparently, the mysterious creature wasn't hurt at all, as it hopped out of the window and rapidly hopped across the street into the oak trees. The shrieks it gave made it strange, Sonoran said, and its red, glazing eyes are something not easily forgotten. Maryland, sometime in 2000. Mary C. and her friend were driving down a road they had traveled many times before. It was mostly dark, except for a couple streetlights that guided their way, Mary says. To the side of the street is a fairly wooded area with an open sewer line about a mile away. As they reached the end of the street, Mary's attention was drawn to a pair of glowing eyes. At first, she naturally assumed it was a dog or cat, the eyes of which commonly reflect brightly in the headlights. The eyes were staring out of a hollowed tree that Mary has seen since childhood. Then something unexpected happened. As we approached the tree, Mary says, whatever it was began to hop across the street like a kangaroo, but extremely fast. Unfortunately, Mary's friend didn't see the unusual sight, so Mary shrugged it off as a possible injured dog. She may have forgotten about the incident had she not seen the creature again a few nights later. We were headed for the same street again on our way to the friend's house. Lo and behold, the creature came from the same tree and rapidly darted past the car. Only this time we both saw it. It had the back legs of a kangaroo. Even the forelegs were up like a kangaroo's. But this thing was no kangaroo. It had a snout resembling an anteater's and very red gleaming eyes. As it crossed the street, it stared at the car, probably in fear, seeing as how it ran the last time it saw the car. It was hairy like a rat and then stood about 3 to 4 feet high as it hopped. I don't know what it was, but I've never seen any animal around here that looked like that, and neither had my friend. New Jersey. It was on a golf course in Brigantine in 2000 where Stephen and a friend had their sighting. His friend saw a little animal first, moving in the weeds. He yelled at it and it stood straight up, Stephen said. It was about 3 feet tall with spikes on its back. Later that year, another friend was startled by an unknown creature, again at the same golf course. Stephen and a few of their other friends went to investigate. Rich was flashing his light around when he caught 2 big red eyes. What we saw was crouched, then stood up and ran. We found the footprints in the sand traps of the golf course. We know it wasn't a fox. It had 2 big sharp claws in the front and very small palm. Today's last encounter is what I believe to be a Skinwalker encounter. This story was told to me by my friend Alex, and it took place in White Mountains, northeastern Arizona in the 90s. Alex was about 4 years older than I and hung out with different friends in school, and hung out with me and others when in the neighborhood. He was soft-spoken. He really didn't talk much. When he did speak, he only said what needed to be said. A little history on Alex, lack of fibbing, and story embellishment. Alex and a few of his high school buddies would go varmint hunting, game scouting, and camping in the White Mountains every summer. These mountains are probably the wildest regions remaining in the Arizona wilderness. After they graduated from high school, their time to hunt and scout quickly vanished, with their new jobs, college, etc. They did, however, get together after a 2-year absence for some old-time sake. Now, many people in Arizona and the surrounding areas have heard of the White Mountains, and a lot of the stories that go along with it. This excited the boys on every visit. Though other than getting themselves a little spooked out, they never encountered anything to speak of. Other than some run-ins with a few local drunk campers, this only drove them to go deeper into the parts of the mountains for their activities. On this particular occasion, they decided to use a newly purchased spotlight instead of flashlights to enable them to scout for game well into the night. They would drive up and down some of the dirt roads, shining the spotlight into the woods. It was mid-fall, a time when you can catch a rare glimpse at the remaining wolves and many coyotes hunting little animals in their early attempts to prepare for the oncoming winter in that region. This night, as they drove, they only came across the yellowish reflection of eyes of deer as they drove down a few secluded roads deep in the ponderosa pine forest. They also spotted a few raccoon and skunk. Coyotes were also large in numbers in a few spots that night. Now, coyote are considered vermin and can be killed any time of the year, no permit necessary. As the night was coming to a close, they tried a technique called leading, pointing the beam of light in front of the animal, which causes it to chase it, eventually bringing it within a close shooting distance. They were successful in leading 3 of the coyotes for a short distance until 2 of them finally gave up. 1 remained, though, and they continued to bring it closer to the road. The driver of the vehicle wanted to test the limits of the coyote's interest by building up speed. They were reaching upwards of 35 miles an hour, and the coyote was keeping up. Needless to say, the boys were amused at any animal running at that speed and to catch a splotch of light. They noticed the coyote tiring and knew the current road ended soon at the nearby abandoned mining camp, so they decided to shoot it before they thought they'd lose it. Collapsing near the roadside, the coyote lay motionless. They backed the vehicle up in close proximity of the coyote to provide light, and the one who shot the animal, not Alex, jumped out of the 4x4 to inspect his kill. The back of the animal was facing the hunter as he approached. The group watched on as then he poked it with its rifle to ensure it was dead. He curled his toe under the corpse and flipped it over. The guy came unglued at what he saw and immediately jumped back into the truck. The group in the 4x4 had all seen it as well. It was the body of a little Native American boy, about 8 to 9 years old, with the skin of a coyote on his back and tied to his wrists and ankles. It immediately bolted back into the cover of the forest as if it had never been shot at all. As they raced away, they insisted on hearing several yips, characteristics of groups of excited coyotes. They directly drove the 3.5-hour trip home. To this day, 2 of them will not even go camping, and none of them will go to the White Mountains to this day.
Alright folks, what an amazing and terrifying bonus upload to end the evening off with. Man, just to imagine shooting at what you think is a creature, finding out that it's a child, but then to find out that maybe it might not be a child, it may be a creature. You know, that's the strangest thing about Skinwalker is the lore is almost hidden from anyone who is not Navajo. I sometimes laugh to myself when I hear folks talk about Skinwalker that do not have any Navajo blood in them at all. Yeah, there are different variations of shapeshifters throughout the indigenous people of America. But Skinwalker is Navajo, and to be quite honest, we know very little about the true nature of the Skinwalker. Is it a cryptid? No one knows. Do people consider it a cryptid? Some do, some don't. Some don't even consider it to be real. Some just say it's lore. I myself feel that if a transformation is done and it actually transforms from man to creature, then I think it's a cryptid. That's just my own opinion. But I've talked to one Navajo woman who is a subscriber on the channel, and the little bit that I thought I knew was proven wrong very quickly. The closest shapeshifter in Native American culture throughout America would be the bear walker, which is Ojibwe. But honestly, there is nothing close to a Yenadalushi skinwalker. With that, folks, stay safe, happy, healthy. Thank you for all your support. Your support is what makes this channel continue to grow and go and be amazingly special for myself and others. It's nothing I do, it's you guys. God bless you all.